That's Lonnie Holley from his latest album, Tonky, another stunning collaboration with producer Jacknife Lee. We found the visual artist, sculptor, painter, and musician in Atlanta, Georgia, and found that the 75-year-old known as the Sandman still has new destinations left to explore.
I've been traveling a little, and in the process of traveling, I've been collecting a few things. I went to Africa for a few days, and that was my first time even going to Africa. It was like coming to Australia for my first time. All these new places
Right?
that is globally connected by being on the globe give me an opportunity to see other people's lifestyles.
And was it different than what you expected?
One thing everybody is trying to live.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
That's universal, I believe, yes.
I think that's the main thing that all of us should be concerned with. Do our best at living.
Yep.
If we plant a seed and give that seed time to grow, we can surely harvest from that growth. I think that's mostly what I'm saying is on my album, or it's part of my lifestyle anyway.
Yeah. Well, of course, Seeds is
I,
the first song on your album, so it segues beautifully into talking about that.
all about the fields that had to be worked. Not only the seed that had to be sorted out and planted deep, we had to work them right, or we would get our ass whipped and whipped and whipped until the pain would not let us rest at night.
You know, opening a record with a 9-minute song is not what most people would do. They want the radio hits up front. So tell me about the decision to put that there.
I think hits is all right, but I think for some people that need comfort, in these days we're looking for comfort. We're looking for music that is, to me, I'm looking for music that's going to take the place of the newspaper.
Right.
Extra, read all about it. When we get a piece of music that can help us digest all of this ill news, then we won't catch ourselves in the blues that often.
Right.
Because
Right.
we're already prepared for that blue period. It's just a wave of blueness. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're back in happiness again.
Right.
Another wave of blueness come in. You're back in happiness again. And
Yeah.
that's what I want people to feel.
It's interesting you mentioned the newspaper. I was just looking at CNN, the US version, and the main headline is about one of the things is Florida is thinking about changing their child labor laws because they need undocumented immigrants are no longer available to do this kind of work. So they're trying to hire children to do it instead. And, you know, it just, you just think, throw your hands up and go, why, what's going on?
That's what the records say. What's going on?
That's right. You have a song.
What's going What's going on? What's going What's going on? What's going What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
I'm asking the question, what's going on or what's going to go on?
Yep.
Or what went on, not only what's going on, what went on to make this occur
Yep.
is the changing of the rules and regulations. And then before you know it, the children are going to have laws and rules and regulations. They're going to have children labor unions.
Yep.
it's a whole ripple of changing situations that you're going to have to go through. The
Yep.
labor unions are not going to want to be involved with no children.
Right, right. And of course,
And so
it just seems
it's
like the people
yeah.
who have the money just want to keep as much of it as they can, no matter how much they have gathered, and avoid paying the people who are actually doing the work for a living wage, so they don't have to employ children.
Well, at some point, you're going to have to give them. Back in the day, they say he or she gave me or graved me. What I just said. He or she gave me or they put me in my grave.
Yeah, yeah,
One or the other.
yeah. So you've been around for a while now. You're in your mid 70s. You've seen a lot, been through a lot. Do you see things changing for the better, or is it just changing differently, or is everything kind of staying the same?
It's changing, to me, it's changing for the machines. It's not changing for the humanity.
Right.
We're doing things now to fit the attitude of machinery. I call it cold to the mama,
Uh-huh.
computer technology management,
Right.
how we are managing the computers that's in our lives. A lot of things is being governed and rules and regulations. What we say have to go through, edited out. Now things that needed to be edited don't have to have a human to edit it.
Right.
The computer automatically edited it out.
Yep.
All of this different stuff. So the machinery, if people are not very, very careful, is what's going to get a lot of people is in real big trouble.
Yep. I mean, technology is great. We're using it right now. I'm in New Zealand, you're in Atlanta, and we're able to talk and see to each other, and that's amazing. But like you say, what happens after that? I'm going to personally edit this interview. I'm not having AI do it for me, but a lot of people, I guess that's what happens next, and you don't know what you're going to get and who's behind it.
As I'm looking at you, I'm seeing not a lot of books. I'm seeing a lot of albums.
I got books downstairs.
I'm just saying, I'm seeing a lot of information that is going to have to be
Yep.
dissected with AI
Yeah.
in order to be able and if they ain't already did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, nowadays, pretty well all the music that I'm doing is brought to you by AI,
That's
the
true.
artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So we have to kind of be careful and be concerned
Yep.
about what it is that we are eliminating. I did a piece of art. It was out of a roll of film and two pair of scissors. And William Arnett, Matt Arnett's
Right.
father,
Yep.
when he first started collecting my works, he was collecting my works on the behalf of doing an exhibit for the 1996 Olympic Games here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
And that was a roll of film, and I call it "Don't Editor the Wrong Thing Out." We got to be very, very careful because we can start cutting up old films,
Right.
start cutting up old habits, and we could take away the wrong thing that our children need to learn from, need to learn the truth about.
Right. Right. And speaking of editing and art and all that, what can you tell me about the album art that you use on the cover of the record of Tonky?
The sandstone, that was one of my first pieces of work that I was doing back in the early 80s.
Right.
I started doing baby tombstones in 1979. My sister had lost two children, her 8-year-old son and 1.5-year-old daughter got burned up in a house fire.
Man.
It was a tragic accident, and uh, it just really bewildered the whole family. First time I ever had to, well, it was me just getting back home, really, and to see my whole family crying about a matter.
Yeah.
something that had happened in our family that made the whole family weep.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't have that much money. I was just coming from Florida. I was a chef at Disney in Orlando, Florida. And when I moved back to Birmingham, I was kind of like without a job for a while. And I wanted to do something to help my sister. And I ran across this material that is not a sandstone, it's a man-made core sand.
Ah,
The sand that they use for the inner core liner of the mold
okay.
for casting the hot iron and stuff, like fire hydrants and cast iron pipes and everything like that. That's the mold that holds all of that stuff together.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, the name of the album is Tonky, which I believe was your nickname when you were growing up. And I was wondering how you felt about it when you were, because everybody gets nicknames. Some are great. Some people, kind of get attached to them, and some people resent them. And some people don't care one way or the other.
Well, it's not that I didn't care one way or the other, but by the time I started hearing Tonky,
Yeah.
uh, I was, when I got into that house, it was a juke joint or a shot house, or
Yeah.
I would call it a brothel or somewhere that you come late night and get you a drink, and then you may drink for a couple of hours and then go somewhere and fall asleep.
Right.
Uh, and it had a rock holder in it. Back in them days, you didn't have a DJ or
No.
you just had a rock holder.
I used to have a
And
rockola in my house in the States.
I slept by right beside the rock holder
Nice.
when the woman brought me from the Alabama State Fairground
Right.
at 1.5. She gave me to Miss McElroy. A lot it's written that she sold me to Miss McElroy for a pint of whiskey. I tried to correct that and say Miss McElroy took me away from her because she got too loaded. She
Right.
got too, and Miss McElroy didn't think that she should even try to care for me
No.
because by that time I was malnourished and I was real skinny, and Miss McElroy just took me away from the woman and started raising me. And Miss McElroy gave me the name Tonky
Yeah.
because I was raised up in a honky tonk.
Gotcha.
And so they just called me Tonky and throw money at me and I would get up and dance for the money. So that part I liked it.
Right.
Uh, but it didn't last no more than until I was 7 years old and uh, it kind of vanished.
Gotcha. But obviously stayed with you because here we are talking about it in 2025, and it made an impression.
It was part of my history. I think that that part that Tonky experience did make a impression
Right.
because it actually elevated my life of what I was to grow through because I was right by the state fairground and I was also maybe not even a half a block away from the drive-in theater.
Right.
Uh, the NASCAR track was right and I was the one that was slipping through the sewer pipe and getting into all of these events
Right.
and picking up paper. Some of the paper bags had money in it. Some of it had candy and popcorn.
Nice.
So I had the thrill of my little bit of life.
There you go. Well, that's good. So I'm glad it had some positive vibes out there. So you're working again with Jacknife Lee on this record. Tell me about the how the two of you collaborate. How does it start and who does what?
I think Jacknife Lee is a wonderful. I mean, when we get together, each time we get together, he already has some sounds and things that he want me to just sit and listen to.
Right.
After we sit and listen to the sounds, and I feel that I can verbally put some information with those sounds because I'm based on hearing. I
Right.
don't know music. I don't know music. So it's not like I know the musical notes and all of this stuff.
Gotcha.
So what I'm doing with him, I'm still learning with what he's exempling to me. And then a lot of times he take that and introduce it to other musicians that feel that, oh, I want to collaborate on that. I got a little bit that I can do to enhance it. So that's the way I see my collaborators as enhancers.
Right.
Uh, and then it comes back to me again, maybe two or three times after listening at it, we got the final piece of music.
Right. And speaking of collaborators, you have the legendary Ingramettes on your record in several tracks. So tell me who they are and how you found them and why are they there?
Well, Jackknife is the one that knows a lot of other artists, and then a lot of these artists know of my music,
Right.
prior records that has hit the charts and start growing. Well, mostly it's either musicians or artists that mostly first get the chance to listen because a lot of music now is mostly dealt out or distributed by different radio genres
Right.
like
Yes.
Spotify and places like that. So they get a chance to hear it up front before the music even hit a sale chart or get ready to be sold.
Gotcha.
So a lot of the newer collaborators in my life, they come through knowing Jackknife. They
Gotcha.
are they are fans of Jackknife's musical career, and they're also fans of my career. And then they hear my music, and then they say, "Oh wow, I think we can do the whole earth some good by just playing together."
Yeah. One of the ones that I like is Did I Do Enough, which features Jessica Hoop on there.
Did I do enough? Did I do enough? Did I?
Because you have quite a few. There's Budgie from Susie and the Banshees, but yet Alabaster DePlume, sax player. I mean, it's quite a diverse mix of characters that you have working with you. Who makes those? Is it mostly Jackknife that's coming up with them, or do you say
Well, a lot of times Matt Arnett know a lot of.
right,
They are friends of ours one way or the other.
right?
Like I said, they are fans.
Yeah,
Should I say fans or should I say friends?
you get,
Because nowadays they are using friends.
yeah,
I mean fans instead of friends. So they are either fans or been to some shows and over the years have saw my works and collaborated with us before.
right, right. And so Matt Arnett is your manager. You've been working with him a long time, I think. And what is it that the two of you have together that makes it work?
His father were the one that actually made it work with me and Matt because Bill Arnett, William Arnett, were the one that began working with me
Right,
back in the early 80s rather.
right.
And from that, my works ended up in a lot of the museums around the world. And after Bill uh, got sick and passed away, Matt kind of started working with me with music because we started working with other artists, and Matt knew some other artists, and I had never been in the studio before, and it was Matt that caused me to even get a chance to go into studio for recording. And I think the music just had a different twist on it, a
Right.
little bit of a different twist, because it could get into people's homes a lot quicker than the verification of the works of art.
Yeah.
And museum doors is not as open as musical doors.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's because everybody can. You mentioned Spotify. You can just click on something and boom, you have access to everything. Whereas, like you say, museums are a different process. But do you think of yourself now as are you doing the sculptures and the other art at the same time as the music, or is it one or the other?
I'm still doing my sculpture now and then. I'm still doing my painting and also my found objects. I'm still doing my found objects a little bit more now
Oh, good.
uh, because of some medical reasons. But painting, getting ready to go to Europe sometime next month and go over there and work with a studio space over there to do some painting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm still arty.
Yeah. So what inspires you? What motivates you to keep doing it? Because you've been doing it a long time. You could probably take it easy if you wanted to.
I'm thankful. I am really, really thankful that I'm still alive,
Right.
and I don't want to quit. I was never a quitter, and the more I'm hearing, uh, is almost like now you're getting a chance to tell the world what was going on in your childhood life. And there were others that didn't get a chance to speak on their own behalf while they was children, because there is a book out, and it is also a podcast out by Unreformed,
Okay.
and it was about my life in Alabama Industrial School for Negro children as a child.
Yep.
But you can just imagine how many children that was brutally abused during the 60s and parts of the 50s
Yep.
because of the civil rights era growth
Yep. Yep.
like that. So it's a lot of people didn't get a chance to voice their opinion. The type of art that I do, it was a lot of women's and men's that were actually fired for them from their jobs. Their job just was taken off from under them just because they went out to protest. So to protest with love now is what I'm saying. Let your art, let your creativity be your ways of protesting. You can draw a picture and hold that picture up like that. Or
Right.
either I can hold my two hands up and put stop on inside of my hands right there and stop on the inside of that hand and do that and then turn it around like that and put it like that right there. That's a whole protest signal.
Yeah.
We need to stop before I have to cry and weep because of somebody getting killed. So stop before I have to weep because somebody's life could be over just that quick. So what I try to do with my music is demonstrate, not only sing, but demonstrate that with my art by having a pair of hands or one hand on the front of your t-shirt and one hand on the back of your t-shirt. All of those kind of things is my way of working the work of art. So I dare to stop. I feel good about what I'm doing.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.